Every woman, no matter how beautiful or smart, carries the same emotional triggers. And yet most men spend their entire lives chasing love they will never receive back in the same way. They try harder, give more, become nicer, and they still lose. Because they never understood what really drives a woman, not what she says, but what she responds to. You've seen it. You've been the guy who texts first, plans everything, buys gifts, and gets left on read. Then she runs back to the one who barely even tries. This video will show you why, and what to do about it. Comment, "No more confusion" below if you're ready to see clearly, and never go back to being in the dark again. Today I'm going to reveal the 5 eternal emotional weaknesses hidden in every woman. These are timeless, deeply rooted, and if you understand them, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Number 1. She craves validation. You walk into her life and think kindness will win her, that your consistent affection, your devotion, your loyalty will make her choose you and stay, and you don't realize yet that what you're offering is not rare to her. It's routine, it's expected. It's what every other man has done before you, thinking the same thing, that being good will be enough. And so you give and you give, thinking that the more you pour, the more she will value it. But what you don't see is that you're filling a cup that has no bottom, and you're expecting her to appreciate water when she's already drowning in it. And the more you give her, the less she feels, not because she's broken, but because that's the cost of abundance without value. Her world is built on attention, likes, comments, validation from dozens of men she doesn't even remember. But your mistake is thinking that if you just give her more, she'll finally stop and see you, when in reality, she sees you as another source, another yes man, another voice lost in the crowd. And you feel it in your gut every time you send a message, and she replies with half interest. Every time you compliment her and she barely acknowledges it. Every time you put in energy and get nothing back. And you ask yourself, what more can I do? And the truth is, it's not about doing more. It's about being less available, more intentional, more rare. Because she is addicted, not to validation, but to earned validation. The kind she has to work for, the kind that isn't handed over like a discount coupon, but the kind that comes when she actually invests first. And that is your edge, not being another supplier, but becoming the prize, the one who doesn't flatter without reason, who speaks few words but makes them land, who looks at her not with need, but with measured presence. Like a man who knows his time is scarce, and his attention is not a gift to throw at everyone. And when you step into that mindset, everything shifts. Because now you're not chasing, you're selecting. You're no longer sending flowers hoping for a response. You're speaking once and letting the weight of your silence speak louder than 1,000 compliments. And yes, at first she may pull away, test you, provoke you to break character, and return to the version of you that fed her like everyone else. But when you hold your ground, when you keep your words purposeful and your emotions in check, when you stop trying to buy love with approval, she will feel it in her bones, that you're different, not just another name in her inbox, but a presence that cannot be ignored. And in that presence, she will chase, because her chemistry is wired for the high of pursuit, not for being given everything up front. And that is not cruelty, that is truth, that is nature. And if you want to live a life where you are chosen not because you overgave, but because you stood firm, you need to break the habit of needing to be liked, needing to be validated, needing to be seen, and start valuing your validation like it costs something, because it does. It costs time, energy, peace. And if you give it away too easily, you pay with your dignity, your sanity, and your self-respect. So if you want to change this dynamic, start today. Stop complimenting just to feel acknowledged. Stop texting just to be remembered. Stop showing up uninvited, and instead Become the man whose silence speaks louder than desperate words, whose presence must be earned, whose attention is the result of value received, not pity given. When she finally does earn it, she'll feel something she hasn't felt in a long time. Admiration, not for what you give her, but for what you hold back, because restraint is power, and scarcity is desire. And until you understand that, you'll always be in the friend zone wondering why your love wasn't enough. When the truth is, she didn't need more love. She needed to earn respect, and you robbed her of that opportunity by giving everything before she even asked. And if this truth hits home, if you feel the weight of your own patterns and you're ready to shift, the Stoic relationship blueprint is your next step. It's not just a book. It's a complete reset, built on timeless principles that will immediately transform how you show up, not just in relationships, but in life. And now, it's available in audiobook format, so you can listen to it while walking, jogging, training, even on your way to work, letting the wisdom sink into your mindset every day. Ask yourself, how long will you keep repeating the same cycles? How much longer will you wait to become the man who doesn't chase, doesn't doubt, and doesn't beg? And it's yours forever. Once you get it, you own it. The insights, the lessons, the clarity, they're yours for life. The link is in the comments. Take it, listen, apply it, and never go back to the old you. Number 2. She needs uncertainty. She says she wants consistency, but what she means is she wants consistent excitement, consistent challenge, consistent emotional engagement, and what most men don't understand is that once she has full access to you, once she can predict your every move, your responses, your availability, your approval, your need to be there, she feels no drive, no curiosity, no emotional pull, and slowly her desire begins to fade, not because you did something wrong, but because you did everything right in the wrong way. And it's not your fault because the world lied to you, telling you that reliability and devotion are enough. The truth is, without uncertainty, those traits become invisible. You become background noise in her emotional world, and she starts looking elsewhere, not because she's evil, but because she can't feel anything anymore, and feelings are everything to her. That's the currency of her attraction, not facts, not logic, not your long-term planning. And this is where men fall apart. They start doing more when they should be doing less. They start explaining more when they should be quiet. They start overcompensating when they should be retreating into their purpose, into their silence, into their own world. And you've been there, haven't you? Where you responded fast, checked in constantly, made plans in advance, laid out everything so she could feel safe. And she said she liked it, even thanked you for it. But you could feel the energy draining from her, the spark dying, and she didn't even know why. And now you're left wondering what else you could have done when what you needed to do was pull back. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to preserve your mystery, because unpredictability is tension, and tension is attraction. And when she doesn't know what's coming next, her mind stays alert, her emotions stay invested, her energy follows your energy, and the way you bring that into your life is by no longer being fully accessible, not emotionally, not digitally, not energetically, because your attention must be earned, your presence must have weight, and if she doesn't feel the weight of your absence, she'll never value your presence. So you don't text her every day, not because you're playing games, but because your days are full. You don't post everything online, not because you're hiding, but because you're focused. You don't tell her everything at once, because you understand that the unknown is more powerful than the known. And the moment she thinks she's figured you out, she'll either test you or leave, and both come from the same root, boredom. And you must never let her get bored, not by trying to impress her constantly, but by never fully revealing your hand. Keep your ambitions quietly growing, keep your thoughts layered, your schedule full, your circle tight, your presence intentional. Let her see glimpses of who you are, enough to keep her engaged, but never enough to feel she owns you. Because the moment she feels she controls the rhythm, she starts rewriting the song, and she doesn't even know she's doing it. It's just how she's built, and your job is not to change her nature, but to understand it, to work with it, not against it, by staying just out of reach, just hard enough to read, just unpredictable enough that every time she hears from you, it triggers a wave of curiosity instead of routine comfort. And when you master this, she starts leaning in, starts investing emotionally, starts wondering more, questioning more, and in that space you create, desire grows, because desire doesn't live in comfort. It lives in contrast, in unpredictability, in moments of silence followed by words that matter, and that doesn't mean being cold or emotionally distant. It means being disciplined. It means not rushing to fill every gap, not always reassuring, not always fixing, not being available at the cost of your own life. And when you stop chasing her with certainty, she will chase you with interest, and it will feel like magic. But it's not magic, it's clarity. And this clarity will save you from heartbreak, from resentment, from years wasted giving love that wasn't appreciated because it came too easily, too predictably, too cheaply. And if you really want to see how much a woman values you, watch how she behaves when you stop making her the center of your universe. Because if she respects you, she'll come closer. And if she doesn't, she'll reveal it. And either way, you win. And this is what you need to start practicing today, not later, not next week, but now, by looking at your behaviors, your habits, your patterns of communication, your reflexes to be overly kind, overly responsive, overly available, and start breaking them one by one, replacing them with grounded stillness, a strong sense of your own value, and the quiet understanding that your time, your energy, your love, is a limited resource, and if it's not respected, it's removed, not emotionally, not angrily, just removed because you know your worth. And the men who know their worth never have to prove it with words. Prove it with presence, with poise, with restraint. And if you can become that man, you will never again have to ask why she lost interest, because she never will. She'll be trying to figure you out until the end. Number 3, she tests your strength. Every man who has ever tried to do everything right in a relationship eventually hits a moment he never sees coming. A moment where the woman he's trying to love suddenly shifts. She starts arguing over things that don't matter, saying things that feel disrespectful, throwing jabs you didn't expect, changing the tone of her voice from soft to sharp, pushing boundaries she once respected. And in that moment, most men start scrambling, trying to understand what went wrong. They think maybe they said something off. Maybe they need to fix something. Maybe she's having a bad day. And so they become even more accommodating, more agreeable, more flexible. They let her mood dictate their peace, and slowly, piece by piece, they begin to shrink. They don't know they're being tested, but they are. Because a woman doesn't always test you with intention. She tests you with instinct. She needs to know that the man she's emotionally tying herself to is unshakable, is consistent, is clear. And so she pushes to see if you'll bend, to see if you'll fold under pressure, to see if your character is based on principle or her reactions. And this is where most men fail. They start reacting emotionally. They try to argue for their value. They raise their voice or lower their standards, and neither response earns her respect. Because the truth is, she's not looking for a man who reacts. She's looking for a man who doesn't move off his foundation. And when you understand that every attitude shift, every challenge, every silence, every emotional switch is not always a sign of crisis, but often a subconscious probe for strength, you stop trying to fix her emotions and start mastering your own presence. And the moment you stop trying to appease and start standing still, that's when the dynamic changes. She sees it in your eyes that you won't be moved by passive-aggressive tone changes. You won't be manipulated by cold shoulders or emotional games. Not because you don't care, but because you've mastered your reactions. And that's when she either leans in or walks away. And if she walks, let her. Because if she leaves because you refuse to abandon your self-respect, then she was never yours to begin with. And if she stays, now it's based on respect, not control. Because she's finally in front of a man who doesn't just talk strength, but lives it. And strength doesn't mean being loud or aggressive. It means being calm when provoked, silent when pressured, clear when attacked, composed when tempted to break character. And you must understand, no matter how much she likes you, if she feels you lack inner fortitude, she will test until you break or prove her wrong. And when you break, she may say she forgives you, but she loses something inside. That spark dims, that deep admiration begins to fade, because she can't fully desire someone she doesn't admire. And she can't admire someone who doesn't lead himself. And you lead yourself not by controlling her, but by refusing to be controlled by her, by grounding yourself so deeply in your own values, your own priorities, your own direction, that her shifting energy never dictates your identity, and that requires inner work, serious, silent, solitary work, the kind where you audit your need to be liked, your fear of being alone, your habits of self-betrayal, the way you rush to please out of anxiety rather than principle, and you start cutting those patterns out of your life, replacing them with stillness, with measured speech, with clear boundaries, with non-reactivity, with time alone where you remember who you are without her attention. And when you master that, you become rare. Not because you've changed for her, but because you've become solid for yourself. And she will feel it in her core. The emotional pressure she once used to bend others now falls flat against you. Not because you're hard, but because you're grounded. And when she feels that, it either breaks her illusions or builds her trust. And either way, you win, because now you're not fighting for her affection. You're filtering her compatibility. And the power in that position is unmatched, because you no longer fear tests. You welcome them, not as challenges, but as confirmations that your strength is real. And real strength doesn't flinch when poked, doesn't panic when doubted, doesn't over-explain or over-apologize. It just is, steady and focused. And if you want to live like that, start now. Not by confronting her, but by confronting yourself. Where are you bending that you shouldn't be? Where are you tolerating what you wouldn't if you had nothing to lose? Where are you afraid to stand alone? And when you answer those questions honestly, you begin the process of becoming untestable, not because the tests stop, but because they no longer have the power to move you. And in a world full of noise, a man who doesn't flinch becomes magnetic, not because he tries to be, but because he can't be anything else. Number 4. She fears losing control. She says she wants peace, stability, emotional safety. But what she doesn't say is that when she gets those things too easily, without earning them, without tension, without emotional effort, she begins to feel a kind of numbness she can't explain. And it's not because she wants chaos, it's because she's built to respond to polarity, to emotional shifts, to the dance of energy between closeness and distance. And what men don't realize is that when they give her complete control of the emotional dynamic, when they constantly adjust to her moods, plan around her schedule, speak only to please, move only to comfort, they are handing her something that feels good at first, but slowly becomes suffocating. A world with no edge, no tension, no polarity, and she starts to feel it, this dull ache that something's missing. She starts reacting more, becoming colder, more irritable, more difficult to please, and he thinks it's about her feelings. So he tries harder, softens more, walks on more eggshells. But what she's actually reacting to is the loss of structure, of leadership, of any resistance, because deep down, she wants to feel your frame, not control it. And when she realizes that her emotions move you more than your values do, She loses the very trust that once made her open up to you, not because she's cruel, but because she's wired to respect strength, and strength is not controlling her, it's not fixing her, it's remaining stable in the presence of her change, and most men fail this because they confuse care with compromise. They think love means always agreeing, always adjusting, always making space. But true grounded presence means you can hold your line even when she's shifting hers. And this is the paradox you must master. She wants influence, but she doesn't want power over you, because when she has power over you, she loses emotional safety, and that's when things unravel. She starts withdrawing. You start chasing. She starts testing. You start doubting. And before you know it, you've abandoned your center to chase a peace that only exists when you reclaim it internally, and it starts with your daily choices. How you speak, how you react, how you hold space when she's emotional without becoming emotional yourself, how you stay grounded in your purpose even when she tries to distract you with emotional waves. Because in her world, emotions are navigation, not direction. And if you follow her emotions instead of your clarity, she starts to feel unsafe, because now she's leading both herself and you. And no matter what she says, she does not want to lead you emotionally. She wants to be free to feel everything without those feelings dictating your actions. And when you become that man, who does not overreact, who does not explain himself every time she changes her tone, who does not adjust his goals to match her comfort, you become the kind of man she can trust without controlling, because control is a burden for her, not a privilege, and she only carries it when you drop it, and you drop it the moment you start living for her approval instead of for your integrity. And if you want to shift this dynamic starting today, you have to reclaim the parts of yourself you've been outsourcing to her emotions. The part that needs her to be happy before you can feel strong. The part that seeks reassurance instead of clarity. The part that lets her mood determine your decisions. And you begin to build that core again, by becoming silent when you want to justify, by becoming still when you want to overreact, by staying present when you want to escape. And in that stillness, you remember who you are, what you stand for, what your time and energy are worth. And from that place, you engage with her, not as a pleaser, not as someone who needs to be told he's doing enough, but as someone who already knows who he is and shares his energy with discernment. And when she senses that, everything changes, because now she sees that no matter what she does, she can't sway you off your foundation. And while part of her will resist it at first, try to poke at it, even sabotage it, the deeper part of her will begin to relax in your presence, not because you became passive, but because you stopped being reactive. And this is the foundation of polarity. When your world doesn't orbit around her but remains consistent with or without her, when your energy isn't contingent on her mood but on your values, and when your peace is not a product of her behavior, but a decision you make daily through what you tolerate, what you prioritize, and what you refuse to let control you. And this isn't about detaching emotionally, it's about attaching to something deeper than approval. It's about connecting to your purpose so strongly that any connection you have, romantic or otherwise, either aligns with that purpose or falls away naturally. And when you live like this, you no longer fear her pulling away, because you're no longer holding on from weakness, you're choosing from strength. And if she stays, it's because she wants to follow your lead. If she leaves, it's because she cannot thrive in a space where she doesn't get to dictate your identity. And either way, you remain whole, unshaken, focused, and free from the illusion that you must sacrifice your power to gain connection. Because any connection that requires you to shrink is not worth having. And the ones that grow with your strength, those are the ones that bring peace, not because they lack challenge, but because they respect your boundaries. And the only way she will ever respect them is if you do first. Number 5. She lives for emotional drama. She doesn't consciously want it, but she is emotionally wired to need it. Not in the destructive way most men assume, not in the constant conflict that drains and breaks, but in the subtle emotional